to conclude the lecture, I'm going to talk about the evolution of document design through time. As you can see, these are all the documents that we analyzed throughout the entire lecture, starting from the 1200s all the way to the current decade, the 2000s. As you can see, you can notice many differences in that occurred through time, where one of the main things you'll notice is that older documents are handwritten, and then you get printed text, and now we have electronic format, which is the major format we use nowadays. So to talk a little bit more about that, one of the main reasons for the evolution of the design is technology. Back in the 12 and 1300s, everything was handwritten. There was no existing systematic way of printing text. And so with handwritten text, it was very expensive and time-consuming because, well, the resources, paper was very expensive. They used vellum, as discussed before, which is a form of lambskin, and also ink. Ink was expensive, it had to be manufactured. And also, it was very time-consuming because each document had to be written separately. There was no systematic way of mass-producing documents. Then you see in the 1400s, the printing press was invented. Although it was invented in the 1400s, it wasn't widely used because there was no way to mass-produce the machine. But those who did have access to a printing press were able to produce numerous documents, which made it much easier to disperse information. And with that, you also get different formatting techniques because you have a uniform format for numerous copies of the same document. But nowadays, as most of you are familiar, we have computers. And computers have word processing software. For example, Microsoft Office, Microsoft Word is what we very commonly use. It makes it very, very easy to prepare documents. You have high reproducibility. You can make one document and print out virtually as many copies as you want. You can put it on a website and disperse your information that way. So converting to electronic format has changed document design because it's the methods you use to create the document and also disperse it have changed drastically. Also preservation. It's much easier to preserve electronic documents than it is to preserve the handwritten documents of the 1200s. As you saw in the pictures before, the documents are looking older. They have they're looking worn. There's different scratches and fadings and things like that. So preservation is a big concept. If you look at evolution of textual elements, here we're looking at a document from the 1200s and a document from 2005. So as you can see in font, the size in the 1200s was very small. They wanted to preserve space because it was expensive. And the color. Color was, they chose a dark red color so that it stands out on the paper. Whereas if you look in the modern document, the font is much bigger. There's more space, and it's not as condensed. And also, if you take into account positive and negative space. Positive space refers to the areas where there's text. Negative space is the areas around it which are blank. There's not much negative space in the older document, but if you look in this newer document, there's lots of spacing and it makes it easier to read. In terms of alignment, the older document is left and right justified, whereas the newer document is just left justified. And organization. There's no true section heading or sections throughout the old document, for that matter. No pagination, and since I guess everything is crammed together, you can't really assess a good flow through the document. Whereas if you take a look at the newer document, there's section headings, like this is the heading and then this is the next heading. And also this is a multi-page document. You can see there's page numbers. And furthermore, you can assess a good flow of information through the document because of the way it's organized. furthermore, these design principles serve a purpose. Their purpose is to give information, and the way it's presented is what has changed. So, the purpose of this document, for example, it's a speech from the 1700s given in Scotland, and it was meant for, I guess, it was meant for dispersing information to large crowds. So that's where the audience comes in. If you have a document that's only meant for example, Congress, if it's just an inter-Congress document, then the language and the style and the format will be tailored to that. Whereas if it's a press release that goes out to millions of people across the country, then that'll also have a different format and style. And all these design principles, they're responsible for these specific principles: readability, usability, understandability, accessibility. And those, I guess, with purpose, with change in purpose, there's change in these